Okay, we're live, ma'am. I'm just beginning in a minute. Namaskaram. Very warm welcome to all of you to the Lāsya Mukharika series, where we have conversations on Mohiniyattam. And over the past many episodes, we've been journeying through the experiences and learnings of the senior most generation of gurus in the art form of Mohiniyattam. And today we mark the beginning of the next phase of artists, the next generation of Mohiniyattam artists. And I'm extremely glad and honored to be beginning this phase of the series with Dr. Sunanda Nair, ma'am. Namaste, ma'am. Welcome.
Namaste.
Dr. Sunanda Nair is an artist based out of the US, but her heart and soul lies in Kerala and India. She is an active performer, a teacher with several beautiful students, school based out of USA, and she takes number of workshops in India as well. Dr. Sunanda Nair, I think one thing about her, what I would like to mention is her vivacious energy. Every time we see her, even if it's a picture or if it's a performance video or a live performance, there is some kind of energy that radiates from her performance. And that's very inspiring for dancers like me. I'm very honored and happy to be in conversation with you, ma'am.
Thank you, Malvika, for having me. And you have been doing a great job. It's not easy putting all this together, but best wishes to you.
Thank you. I must mention that you have been a support right from the beginning to make this happen in every way possible. Thank you. So let's move on to the questions. And first thing what I would like to ask you is from the perspective of a performer and a choreographer. I mean, in Mohiniyattam, one thing that is very common is Swati Tirunal Padams. We have several kinds of Nayikas. Initially, we didn't have men performing Mohiniyattam, although today men are performing extremely well, so gracefully. Yet the form of Mohini and several Nayika bhavas is what is explored very well in the art form of Mohiniyattam. So when you approach a particular Nayika in any kriti, any piece that you are choreographing or performing, what is your process of characterization of these Nayikas? How do you sketch your Nayika when you perform or choreograph?
Okay. Malavika, this is a very interesting topic for me because I enjoy doing Abhinaya more than doing Nritta, honestly, because Nritta, yes, I'm not denying those beautiful movements, but Abhinayam is something because it has so much of depth and so much, every padam, every kriti, every Abhinaya piece that you do is so distinct from each other. Because if you look at it, we cannot generalize women and their reactions to certain situations. If you give a woman, like put 10 of them in a room and give them a situation, all 10 will react differently to that same situation. Then how can you expect, like for you say Swati Padams, if they are all Virhot Kandita Nayikas, how can you expect all of them to react the same way? Okay, now the great poet himself has penned it differently, has used different words to pen those poems. Or they would be just like one poem, that's it, to generalize everything. But has penned it differently, has different ragas and moods for it. So definitely the way you explore that and the way you explore the bhavas of that Naika. For example, take a simple padam, okay? Take one padam. It has a Naika who's a Virot Kandita Naika, waiting for Lord Padmanabha, because if it is a Swati Padam, you're looking at Lord Padmanabha. We can place a Naika in different stages of life. For example, you can put her in whichever stage you want. Like you can put her as a teenager, a Mugdha, a Madhya, a Pragalbha, or a Prauda. First, make sure the Sahityam works for you to be able to categorize them in that age group. So make sure the Sahityam sinks into you. Okay. After that, it's not a question of, just take a padam and start, let's doing it. This Panimati, Mukibale. It's not that. listen to the song a few times. Let that entire thing soak into you and let it tell you that this is the Naika here and this is going to be her reaction to this kind of a situation. If you are doing a Sanchari Bhava, that Sanchari Bhava would place the age of the Naika because the Sanchari will tell you like how you react to that situation. Either you're going to be heartbroken or you're going to be like partly disturbed by it, or you're like, okay, this is it. I'm not going to be disturbed further. Already you have 3 different ages there. Because a young Naika will not come to a stage where say, okay, I'm not going to be disturbed. No, it's going to be a little more mature Naika. So you have to be able to place the age of the Naika first. Once you place the age of the Naika, then comes, we also have to figure out what kind of status she has in society. Is she a Uttama character, a Madhyama character, or a Dharma character? Now, Uttama character will have a very refined way of approaching it. With very subtle movements, you say, this is it. A Madhyama character, just like all of us around here will say, will be a little more extra in our reactions to the situation, and the Adharma all over the place. You get it? So we have different ages, different stages. There are so many. If you go and look at Natya Shastra, Bharata's, I think 34th, 32nd, 34th chapter, it is a detailed description of Nayikas. Oh my God, if you study that, you will realize that how did one person at least see so many shades of a woman? So many shades of. So how can you just take one pada and say, black, this is my Virodh Kandita Naika? No, actually, because of these deep studies you have in these Naikas, you'll be able to go to minutest nuances for each of them, which can be different for each of them. You don't have to generalize all my Virodh Kandita Naika is going to react the same way. So that will give you more flavor, more different flavors in a padam. Rather, even if it is a Swati padam, there are so many Virodh Kandita Naikas. They can all be put in different age categories. You can decide what kind of stages or temperaments they have, and you can place them all differently. So each Naika can be studied well, and you can, like for example, we do Ponte Nirmoli, like ma'am's choreography. That was, she put it as a Mugdha Naika who's never experienced being in love and first time and all too excited. This when he comes, I'll do this, then I'll do this, then I'll do this. Oh, my dear friend, will you go and get him for me? That doesn't match with my Aliveni at all because Aliveni is a Madhya Naika. She's not, she's been in love, she's experienced love, she's been through the stage of Virha also. And where Mugdha was not. We've been through it. So when you come to that stage, her approach to a time when the Nayaka is not coming to meet her would be little different from, because Mugdha doesn't know what it is that a Nayaka is not coming to meet her the next time because she's waiting for the first time. So she's only too excited about meeting him. But Aliveni, for example, if I was doing it as a Madhya Nayaka, she's already like, okay, he's not been here earlier and I went through my heartbreak. And this time when I come, she handles it a little more differently. Now we do a padam, like again a ma'am's choreography, Telivelu Mukhaminno, where she does a complete pragalpa. Like she sees an Nayaka who's indifferent to her, but she's in command even then. She says, very subtle, yes. So you see, I just these 3 examples. So if you look at women, we have just look around us, we'll be able to pick up so many different shades that you can put into all these beautiful padams and they all start looking different instead of just one Virhat Kandita Naika. This is just an example. Now, if you look at ma'am's another choreography was all the Mahabharata Naika. And I remember her, I remember this, like, I remember, you know, how these came up actually. She used to visualize these Naikas and then she used to write a gist of the entire thing that she wanted. And if it was a Gandhari, she wrote the entire summary and she pulled out just the rasa of Gandhari, just like the squeezed out the best of what Gandhari would be. And then she approached Kavalam sir to write it for her. And then he wrote the poem, okay? Because by then Gandhari had already sunk into her. She had, yeah. So what had happened is, there was a time of, I think, teaching me or something. And she was waiting. She said, no, Sunanda is a performer, but I'll wait for that time when she felt that she'll be able to absorb the Gandhari into, I will be able to absorb Gandhari. It is not a question of learning the choreography. Choreography, we can sit, we can learn, memorize, but being able to get into that character and feel and understand that character I was first told to go and read up.
Mm.
So it is not a question of just, yes. So that's the approach I've had and that's the background I've had for my study in Mohiniyattam. So even today, if I want to take up a subject and work on it, it will be going back to read and understand what I'm doing first. Then just pick up a song and choreograph. Picking up a song and choreographing would be just like anything else. But if you really want to get into the essence of what the poet wanted to say, you have to really go back and understand what you're doing before you just get up and say, oh, this line means this, put it into music, this sounds good, and I'm doing a beautiful, graceful dance. No, it's not like that. So if you want to really make the audience feel with you, if the poet, his time of writing it, you have to think of when he wrote it, what was the situation at that time, what did he mean by those writings, and if you are the same, try to get into the same wavelength and you match that, then the whole thing picks up. Otherwise it just stays like everything else. It does, yeah, you don't really. Now I do an item Urumagal, which used to be ma'am's big time dancing, mother and daughter. I used to, when I was little, little means, yeah, when I was a young performer, I used to watch her. I used to feel that how can one forget being a dancer? How can one forget being in a beautiful costume and perfect hair and makeup? And then all that suddenly matters, not, doesn't mean anything, because what I see is a mother playing with a daughter, and then suddenly I see that mother has aged, and then she's with a young daughter who is a teenager. So I realized when you're doing an Abhinaya item, it is not a question of perfect hand, leg, squat, beautiful expression, beautiful eyes. No, it is how beautifully you get into what you're performing is the beauty of that. That is the aesthetics of that padam or kirtanam or whatever you're doing. Nritta, yes, beautiful Angashuddhi, beautiful movements and everything, fine. But when it comes to Abhinam, I have learned over a period of time and my experiences, it is not the question of, even if I become hunchback and I'm able to get into that character and become a hunchback, that is the beauty of that character. Not, oh my God, my posture is pathetic because I'm having a hunch. That is gone for me. That is, I really, when I'm performing, I get, I don't really care what my posture or my hastas mean. If I'm in an emotional drain situation, my hands and legs won't have the strength to be able to do a perfect hasta or perfect mudras or anything like that, because I'm emotionally drained, and that speaks to my body language. And when that speaks in my body language, it is not a question of beautiful posture and beautiful abhinaya or a perfect face. It is a question of how beautifully I get into that character, and how beautifully I communicate that emotion, that whoever the naika or nayaka, whatever piece is that I'm emoting, and my audience understands and feels that with me. That is the success I would feel of doing that padam, piece, kirtanam, whatever you call it, right? Or I have achieved what the poet meant in that. I have done justice to the character that he wrote there, is what I feel like an Abhinay piece would be. For
Absolutely.
example, yes, if it is a Shabari, like I do in the Shabari in the end, she surrenders at the feet of the Lord. She just couldn't believe after ages that she's seeing Lord Rama. She never ever thought, when she sees him coming, and she just, she ages, eternal wait. She ages, she collapsed there. That time it is not the beauty of me sitting beautifully like this and looking at, no, it's not. It is that Shabari who's collapsed through the ages and her body has crumbled. She's down there. And then she says, Rama, it's bliss. So, so that's what that's what Abhinayam or an approach to an Abhinayam piece would be
Beautiful.
for me. It
I
is
think,
not a question.
please tell me. Please complete.
It's not a question of at that moment. It's not a question of a perfect posture, a perfect hasta, or it is a question of surrendering to that emotion and surrendering to the right emotion. And honestly, for me, that I, as a performer, oblivious to the audience. I don't think even fraction of a time I would remember that there's an audience sitting there, mm, because I've surrendered myself, and that's all that matters to me. And after that, when you finish, and then there is a moment of pause, like, because you have to collect yourself. That's the beauty of Indian dance. That's the beauty of when my mom used to tell me when I was 20, you know. Uh, After every performance, we used to have a lot of reviews that day. Times of India, yes, Times of India Thursdays. Definitely one page was devoted to the arts. And it used to be scary because you never know what is there, like you were young and dancing, you just dance, you come back. So every time I would get a beautiful review, God has been kind. So, and my mom immediately used to talk to me. See, that's the best part. I have a guru who told me what to do every step of the way. She would call me in. She would call me, come into my room. She would say, I would be like, what did I do wrong with my program? And they say, you might find beautiful reviews. Everything was beautiful, nice, perfect hands, legs. But Sunanda, you won't become a performer till you start moving from within. I should think. I never told her then. I say, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, yes. And I used to come out and think, what does she mean by moving from within? I never understood at all. Then I said in the reviews, I never wrote anything about missing something and moving from within. I never understood any of that. Now I feel that I can even just sit and dance, and I really don't care if there's an audience or no audience. The bliss that you feel at the end of it is dance for me. Irrespective of applause, whatever, I don't care. I do. I mean, I'm beautiful friends, Rasikas, and people who really appreciate my performance. Thank you for being there. But as a performer, I can just, like, if I put a padam, I can just go into a bliss, and that's dance for me. It's not for the audience and anything else. So now I understand what she meant by moving from within, because now I feel that I can sit and I can dance with my heart and reach the people and touch their hearts. That's all that matters to
Absolutely.
me.
These are pearls of wisdom for all young dancers out there, really. To
I'm just
hear
telling you
from
my experience. Yeah. Yeah.
really, ma'am. And 2 points that I really want to put thrust on from what you said was to forget yourself and also make the viewer forget that you are in this costume.
You
Your
should,
acharya has, after one particular point, that should not be the focus.
yeah. So I always tell my students, if you're on stage and like, if I'm looking at, oh, nalla blouse, nalla costume, match undata, ഇത് പോരാ. If at all that happens, remember, girls, you have not done enough practice. You have not done your sadhana. Because if you are a performer, like, when I've heard that, oh, കഴിഞ്ഞു പോയി പെട്ടെന്ന് അറിഞ്ഞില്ല, you know. So, oh, your performance got over. We didn't even realize it got over. We wish you could do more. I said, thank God. Then wait for my next one. It will not. So that's
Really,
yeah,
there are so many instances of us feeling that way. And
yeah,
another point that you mentioned, I found very interesting, is to observe. While you create your Naika, observation is so key for an artist, right? You need to be so
yeah,
sensitive to your surroundings at
yeah.
all
You
points. And
can actually look, and you can take certain things that you see, like you feel, oh, that is interesting, or even like simple things, like if you're walking on a street or something, watch the body language of the people, and then anytime it comes into your presentation, it should just, oh yeah, that can be used. So if you look at it, for example, to make it simple for people to, or students of dance to understand, ഇപ്പൊ നമ്മള് മൂവീസ് കാണും. For example, Jagadi used to be my big time thing. So every film, though he's been a villain in like how many films,
yes,
every film had its own. You thought from the beginning that he's born like that. So that's what I'm saying. So every Naika, everything you do, for example, take only a Swati Pada. Let's talk only about Swati Pada. Every Naika need not look same. We can have certain, there is a certain amount of energy you can give in certain things, certain pullback in certain things. They don't have to be the same throughout, is what I'm trying to say. You
True.
can bring different shades in each Pada. So that I try to do that. Yeah. And, yes.
Lovely. And from this point of observation, I come to the next question, which is about the portrayal of male characters as well. Because this, we don't live in times where we are not talking about topics that are so contemporary, and our audience has changed, and so have we. And with this particular point, what is your treatment for a male character? How do you, bring that to life?
Yeah. I think you're talking male character, especially because we are doing Mohiniyattam, right?
Yes,
Because when it comes to Bharatanatyam, other treatments, it's already done, said, understood,
yes,
taken for, yes, it's all done. Because it's Mohiniyattam, you're asking me the special treatment for male dancers.
yes.
Male dancers, sorry, male character.
Male
Male
character.
character. Yes. Apo, this I basically thought in depth and understood in depth is when I started doing Bhavayami.
Ah,
Bhavayami Raghuram. Okay. അതിൽ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ഒരു 30-40 ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ് ഡീറ്റെയിൽ ആയിട്ട് കളിക്കുമ്പോൾ ലൈക്ക് 1 hour 15 minutes കളിക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ യു ഹാവ് ലൈക്ക് ചേഞ്ച് ഓഫ് ദോസ് ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ്. Now we have, of course, Ravana, we have Sri Rama, both of them in one scene, and both of them have a different body language, and both are male. Sri Rama, composed, collected, even at times when he's angry and he's ready for a war with Ravana, still composed and collected. Ravana a little louder, but we have to remember we cannot put him down because he was a great Shiva Bhakta. He was a great Vainika, he was a great scholar. So he's not one of those typical villains.
yeah.
No, you cannot make him feel like, oh, he's like Ram. No, you cannot. The only mistake he made was he took Sita away, but again, it was because he was revenging his sister's insult. If you look at it, even when Ravana comes to kidnap Sita, he comes as a Muni. Now, there also, behind this, is still that Ravana only. Okay. And then he's disguised to come here and take her Sita away. So again, there's another male character. Now here, you're pretending to be, Ravana is pretending to be a Muni, but in the behind, that is still like, is anyone around? Is it time for me to pick her up? That Kannila, Pluma, Desham, that revenge thing is there. And he's not that pious, because behind that is, yes, he's scheming. So all that, yes. So when you show Ravana, you cannot show him to be very, because I'm doing Mohiniyattam. They don't change because we have to place them as Ravana, as Sri Rama, as Lakshmana, who has outbursts. So we have to be able to show those. But we can do them without throwing our hands and legs, with complete mental strength and understanding the character. Would deeply, it brings in a depth of in your body language. You don't have to kick your legs and dance up in the air. You can still do them. Okay. And we have to show still their magnanimity. You have to still show Ravana's expanse. You can still do that. And honestly, I think I have done justice to those because I've got tremendous feedback on how you present them. So first I would say is understanding the character, even if you are a male character, understanding the male character, understanding his power. Power means not how much people he ruled. Power means the person that goes behind being Ravana. Like what is he and who is he? And he's basically a kind person. His people were happy with him. So, but here when he comes, he's coming because he wants to take revenge. So that is a different Ravana. Okay. And I still did Ravana. I mean, this is ma'am's choreography, but I still had that huge thing about this is me, this is Ravana. And when he comes as a Muni, he's like this. And then when he takes Sita away, he's I did my job and I've taken revenge, and then he just takes it. That is all with the Angika Abhinayam. You can still show without throwing your hands and legs, and your posture. Your posture has to speak. Like from here, like one time you're this and the other time you're this. One time you're this and the other time you're this. One is Sri Rama, one is Ravana. So there's a body language that you have to really learn Angika Abhinayam. And it's been a blessing that my guru is Padma Bhushan Dr. Kanak Rele, who is a doyen, who's ultimate for Abhinayam. So it has been a blessing. And even now, I still learn. Whenever I get an opportunity, I still learn. So there are a lot of things that you just watch, the way the eyes move, and you can see the switch of characters just with the eyes. So that's a blessing I have. And male characters, I don't see why a male character, just because we do Mohiniyattam, has to be very limp and not, even Krishna, we have so much of Krishna. Krishna, if Krishna looks like Radha, was a point Krishna has to be Krishna, that playful Krishna and vivacious Krishna. It depends on what we are doing. And Radha has to be Radha. So if you don't, then Ashtapadi, you won't even recognize who is doing what. So the most important thing to take care of is your body language without disturbing too much of the Mohiniyattam technique of kicking a leg in the air and all that. We don't need to do that. We can still be very lively and vivacious when we are doing a male character and hold yourself well. Okay. So it is not at all difficult. When I was started off like what you're talking now, I used to wonder, so now Mohiniyattam, that means how do I do a male character? I used to think like that. That means I can't do a male character. Now, as we develop, as we go through the ages, and as we choreograph, I'm like, I did Ardhanarishwaram. One side Shiva and one side Parvati. I didn't even have to pick my leg up to show Shiva. I didn't have to stand in the Shiva pose at all. I don't agree to that also. I just keep my leg a little forward and I just stand there with that Shiva and the other side Parvati. See, sir. Is the Vaksha? Yes, it's a Vaksha that speaks a lot. The chest speaks a lot. Okay.
The energy and the
you stand up here, you just stand up like Shiva. And from here, when you go down.
Yes.
Yeah, see, this is
something that happens inside.
You break your chest. You break your chest and let it just breathe out. And you can see immediately 1, 2. You can see the change in character there itself. So it's not at all difficult looking into a male character. It's just make sure that you're not kicking a leg and dancing up in the air. You can still show with a little more, we can do easily.
Absolutely. And it's because we are having such a melange of characters, which is why the art form has grown to where it is now.
Yes, it is beautiful. You can still see it growing. It's wonderful. And so many people doing a great job.
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't believe when great male characters don't get their strength and their power. Strength and the power, always remember what I'm talking about is not kicking my leg and dancing. Strength and power is the power that comes from within, that Shakti that comes from within, to be able to say that, for example, if I'm Karna. Right. I'm Arjuna. Yeah. But now when I'm sitting and doing also, it was like Karna and Arjuna. It is not, I didn't have to jump up and down. So that is something like a mentally growing process. And learning a little of Abhinayam, and it should be okay. Yeah, this is not at all difficult doing a male characters in Mohiniyattam.
Absolutely. Thank you. Ma'am, next what I would like to ask you is about your style of Mohiniyattam. You are one of the foremost proponents of this style of Kanak Rele ma'am's Bani in Mohiniyattam, and you've very successfully taken it across India and the world. So you have several followers and rasikas, like you mentioned earlier. So many people in awe of your performance and the style that you do. So could you throw some light for us on the repertoire that you follow in your style?
I joined Nalanda Nrityakala Mahavidyalaya in 1985.
Right.
Okay. And luckily, I got into the degree class. I didn't have to go through because I had a good background and ma'am was aware. So, and also had a Kathakali background. So it was not very difficult, but yes, I had to go through the process of going through extra practice with her. And I had never learned Mohiniyattam before. So it was never I had to kind of correct myself from anything. So it was It was just I was getting raw, and so when I joined Nalanda 85, I think they had already about 8 to 10 items before that, if I remember right. Ma'am had already started working and had created a margam. So from 85 onwards till what, like a decade or two ago, I've been there for every choreography that has happened at Nalanda. I've been a part of it. And we used to have a class where ma'am used to come with new choreographies, new songs, and we used to choreograph there. So after that 85 process, been there for everything right up to 2000. So uh, I've seen like 30, 40 items grow there at that, in that room, except for the items that ma'am performs, like exclusively her items. Other than that, been there for in that classroom for all the choreography. So I don't remember missing even one class, and I can tell you with I can give guarantee that I never missed a class, and been there. Yeah. So the Margam always for us started with Ganapati. Then we went on to a Mukhachalam. Then we did something called Niranya Padal that was coined by Kavalam sir. It had it means, for example, like we took poems from Aham Amarushatakam, and we took verses and we linked it up with beautiful jatis in between. Yeah, the swarams were avoided because the Sopana Sangeetam didn't much have. So we put jatis, and then we had a beautiful chain of verses put together in a beautiful pattern.
So it would be
Or we also did,
Sahityam Jati. It would be
yeah,
Sahityam Jati, Sahityam Jati. Okay.
yeah. And another thing we did was, if we didn't do this item, we would also take some very strong item, which would be like Ashtarasa, Ashtanayika, or some strong like Gandhari, Kubra, those kind of powerful items. Then we would go on to an Ashtapadi, a Padam, something like that. Yeah, usually Ashtapadi and Padam would switch depending on, switch in the sense that switch order depending on what Padam you take. And if it's a Krishna, then you put something else in between, so you don't want two Krishna items like that. And we would end with a Jiva.
Okay.
Now, the reason what I understood is coined is because she wanted every dance style had its own repertoire, has its own repertoire. So she was not very keen that we borrow a repertoire which kind of is close to Bharatanatyam. If you have a repertoire, if you have a dance style from Kerala and coming from Kerala, who's so strong in the performing religious arts, semi-religious arts, art forms, absolutely brilliant in Abhinayam that can't be matched most of the dance forms across the country. Why would an art form which is exclusively coming for women from that state need to borrow anything from anybody? She was, yeah. And I have to add here is, I always tell my students that if you want to enrich the art form, look into your own. When we have a problem, like I tell the simple example I give is, if I have a problem at home, I would first talk to my husband, my children, my close around me, and find a solution. If I don't find a solution, I reach out to my extended family, like, father, grandfather, uncle, auntie, cousins, all that. But I would do that first. Then I don't find a solution, I'll go and ask my neighbor, can you help me?
Right.
But with so much of family members around, I don't think I would need to go anywhere else to ask anyone for help. Similarly, if I want to grow something in Mohiniyattam, I have a great music in the region. I have I can't even compare. I don't have words to say. We have performing arts, Kathakali, Nanyar Kutha, Chakyar Kutha, you go on, it goes on the list. And great Abhinayam and, performance, everything right there.
Right.
I would rather go and take from them to enrich my art form, because in a family, the family members are supposed to resemble each other. If not, then we have a problem. Okay. So when they are supposed to resemble each other, and if I take a little from each of them into my art form and I look a little like them, It's perfectly justifiable. Like, okay, yeah, this belongs to this family. If I suddenly stand like a sore thumb and I say I look like my neighbor, okay, there's some problem here. So that is what I would explain to my students. Like, okay, this is what you have your own identity. You belong to the state. This is you take stuff. No worries. You take stuff for your family members and grow. That's fine. That's fine. So you even that is needed. Go ahead and do it. But that's the reason. That's what I explain to my students. And this is what the Margam that she has said years ago, that this is what the Bani should be. It should be standing on its own. It need not be borrowed by somebody else. So you set your own Margam. And the best part for her was to go back and hit the books.
Yeah.
Anything you want to grow, go to the literature of the state, go to the texts that are available to, Natya Shastra, then go to the regional texts. They have enough for you to be studying and building on your own art form and growing. So that should be good enough to, yes, that should be good enough. So that's exactly what I tell my students. So from the age of, from 85 onwards, every choreography that has happened in that room, I've been a part of it. It's only lately that for certain circumstances, some reasons that I had to end up here, which was um, never in my horizons anywhere. It was not visible. Suddenly it happened. That's life. Yeah, and but it was tough the first few years to be able to pursue what I was doing. But you can't keep dance away, can't keep Mohiniyattam away. So it just came back, and yeah. So that's been the margam of, and from 85 onwards, if you, I've been dancing at all these Sangeet Natak Academy Mahotsavs all over the country. I've been going up and down performing the Bani. And it was beautifully. I remember my Satyabama teacher telling me once I was at Kalamandalam for a workshop, and I was like a little tiny one around there because it was all the major gurus were sitting on one table. I remember this, and I was sitting on one edge of the table. It was probably late 80s, probably. It was a major seminar on Mohiniyattam. And I remember Satyabama teacher, Bharati Shivaji ma'am, Kanak ma'am, she was sitting next to me, and a bunch of, I think definitely it was Leela ma'am, all of them were on the table. It was a long table, a wooden table with wooden, yeah. And we were waiting for the seminar to begin. And I was supposed to demonstrate, ma'am was supposed to talk. Yeah, so I was remember sitting there and looking at everybody on the table. I was like, oh my God, this is Mohiniyattam. Because when you're young, you're awe of everybody. And I remember Satyabama teacher coming up and telling me, Mole kalikindin virasa kanan. So, those things stay with you.
When
Yeah.
sometimes you share your older videos on Facebook, I literally sit in awe because so beautiful. And that one picture is so iconic of yours. I think many people would have seen Mohiniyattam's face as that.
That, yeah.
Literally, it's very beautiful.
Yeah, but you know what? I was telling my girls, you all dance today. Immediately you have a selfie, you have a small video on Facebook, and everything is like boom. For us, we had to wait for the Thursday, Friday reviews to come. And that time when your reviews came, you're supposed to collect them, file them. So if at all any festival comes up, they'll ask you your bio. You're supposed to make copies of them and mail it to them. Nothing is needed now. And honestly, this Facebook, I just got into it like few years ago. My students told me, you should be there. The whole world is there and all that. I said, what is it supposed to be? So that's when, and honestly, I can tell this, that most of the people, I think in Kerala, they know me only from the time the Facebook came in. There's like 20 years before that, I worked on Mohiniyattam. I like George Paul sir had said in one of the reviews, I think early 90s, 1991 something, the prima ballerina of Mohiniyattam. So he has seen those programs. See, earlier times it used to be just reviews. We never had like a program. 10 selfies, or video they are, how good they are. We never had any of those. We had to wait for those Friday reviews, save them up, and then when we had programs, we had to present them. So
Somehow I wish we had that too now, because that would inculcate so much patience. Now everything is about
patience, no, and also uh, those reviews at that time were like just
True.
very honest and brash, and they would just tell you
Yes.
what it is. So if you came out clean, you'd be like, thank you. That's how it used to be. So we, yeah, never know what is coming, who's writing what. So many of my reviews from Subudu Mama in my initial years, that is something I treasure like crazy. Like, because I only heard that dancers think twice before they perform, because that's what I'd heard, that when he's on the auditorium, they like, oh my God. I believe that's how it was. I never knew. And I remember, like, when I was in the initial few programs, Subudu Mama has come, and for me, didn't mean anything, because for me, my idea at that time was, ma'am, ഇത് പഠിപ്പിച്ചു correct ആയിട്ട് കളിച്ചിട്ട് ഇങ്ങോട്ട് വരണം. You know, without a mistake, everything correct, perform and come back. And you just do that and come back.
Mm.
You're not thinking about anything else. So and then the reviews used to come, a dancer made for Mohiniyattam. Sunanda is Mohiniyattam's future. That was late 80s. So those are the things that kept you going, and realize that, okay, you're doing the right thing. Please go ahead, continue what you're doing. So it was a scary process. Reviews were a scary process. But now things are so much easier for kids. Yeah.
Lovely, ma'am. Now, another thing I want to come to is about the energy that you use as a performer. You're somebody who's trained in Kathakali, Bharatanatyam, and Mohiniyattam. And even in your younger years, you did perform Bharatanatyam and Mohiniyattam together. So,
Yes.
when you perform these two totally different art forms, the energy dynamic is different. Not that one requires more energy and one less, but the dynamic is different, is what I believe. So,
Yes.
how do you wield that? What do you do for that?
See, yeah. See, Bharatanatyam has an energy that is is sent out, or immediately, like, uh, it kind of explodes. Okay, it's like, boom, it's out. Okay, you do one and it is out. You do two, it is out. Okay, here in Mohiniyattam, you cannot do that. You have to have such a controlled way of releasing it, that people think it's very easy. Like, you control, and then you slowly let go. Okay. So there are two different things. One is says out, and one is says wait. So when I'm performing both, honestly, I've never had the time when I kind of get mixed up
Hmm.
with the performance in both. I somehow, when the music or the rhythm or something in me, the body language changes, and you are in it. Then never I've felt like, nobody has ever told me like, oh, it doesn't look like you're a Mohiniyattam dancer, or when I'm doing Mohin, so, oh, never looks like a Bharatanatyam dancer. So that I've been blessed with. So in Bharatanatyam, I feel the energy is uh, expounded, boom, like just sent out quickly. But in the other one is a very controlled, released energy, which is also tough. Both are tough. And I realized that once I was performing for Bharatanatyam for some 2 hours program, and then I had refrained from practicing Mohiniyattam for a month. That I just put it away. Okay, I said no. And when this was done, I wanted to go back to Mohiniyattam. I said, oh no, I miss my Mohiniyattam, back again. Then I realized I couldn't survive for more than 10 to 15 minutes. I'm like, what happened here? Then I got into practicing Mohiniyattam. So it is never that you do Bharatanatyam 2 hours, you can survive Mohiniyattam 2 hours. There's nothing like that. I think they're different, completely different energies coming from different sources. Because of that, I had trained myself in one, and I had taken this for granted, but it is never like that. Like, another example that I tell my students is, you might be brilliant, you have a great IQ. Okay, you might have a great IQ, but till you actually go through your book, you don't even know what is there. How will you know what kind of? So you have to actually at least flip through the pages. You're like, oh, this is what this subject is, and you got it. Fine, you got it. But
Right.
till you flip through, you don't know what is in it. How would you know? So it is actually, you go through the art form, and then you realize, oh, this is it. But till you actually go through the art form, you don't know what your body, where the energies are, and what are the muscles that are using. So this one says out, and this one says in, stay. So both are completely contrast. And for me, honestly, I've never found it challenging or bothered me in between, or I would have definitely stopped
Mm.
performing Bharatanatyam for sure.
Mm.
And honestly, I didn't much perform Bharatanatyam also, because I find the way I speak Mohiniyattam is what I'm made better. I communicate more better with Mohiniyattam. And always the love for Mohiniyattam has been there. Being born and brought up in Bombay, I always used to tell my, yeah, like I used to feel like I also want to do that style of dance, which is very like graceful. That's all you can think of at that, a graceful and abhinay. But how do I get to learn that? And that's when I found ma'am. And then there's been no looking back after. So honestly, my energies are more in Mohiniyattam because from that time it's a decision I made that Mohiniyattam is going to be. But Mohiniyattam is going to be what? Because I communicate better with that. Now the energies, definitely both of them need equal amount of energy. The people say this is so easy. I remember my students when they were learning Bharatanatyam in India when I was teaching. Oh, we learn Mohiniyattam. We see you performing Mohiniyattam. I would like to dance something like that. And they started and they're like, but when you dance, it doesn't look so tough. Why is it so tough now? I said, because you're holding, 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 and all that holding is also telling on you. It is not easy to hold and finally let go. It's not easy. So that energy, people think it's easy. That's why we feel, we have like a lot of ladies who want to learn. And when they learn, later they feel that this is also work. They didn't, it looks easy. I always tell them, if it looks easy, that means the dancer has worked enough on it. If it looks easy and looks great, the dancer has worked super good on it. Because this is a dance style, if not performed nicely, can look really not great. It cannot look, yeah. Because the movements are so visible, the way you move, the path is so visible that it hurts the eye. If other thing, like even Bharatanatyam, if you see a newcomer come do that, I'm like, okay, that means something has taken over, you're like, fine. But here, you do a padam and it doesn't look great, it doesn't click at all. And that's a wrong notion a lot of people have, that,
Absolutely.
oh, Mohiniyattam is like this and can, I know a lot of people who do Bharatanatyam and do one item Mohiniyattam, and that's not fair to the style.
I'm
I
glad
think now
you
we
brought this
are.
up because this is a common notion that many people have.
Yeah, I have had students here who did Bharatanatyam and who are learning Mohiniyattam.
Hmm.
So I remember when some Arangetam came up, the teacher told them, "Oh, you cannot do one item Mohiniyattam." Then the kid came to me. I wanted to do more. I said, "Why did you even ask?" Because I don't want you to do one item Mohiniyattam. I have prepared you for a margam, and I'm not going to be doing one item Mohiniyattam in an Arangetam. I'm not going to do that, and that shouldn't have come up at all. So because we have a margam, and somebody asked me here when I moved here, oh, you're going to do Mohiniyattam? I said, yeah, Mohiniyattam. So you're not going to do any Bharatanatyam in between? I said, no, I'm not doing. You call me for a Mohiniyattam performance, I'm doing a Mohiniyattam performance. So why are you not doing Bharatanatyam? I said, because I'm doing Mohiniyattam. You asked me to perform. Oh, you have items for the full day performance? I said, you give me 7 days a week, I will not repeat any item for you. I will dance. So many items in Mohiniyattam. So we have to right from there educate people. And that's what happened for me when I came into this country here. At least in India, we don't take it that much for granted. We do Mohiniyattam, and I was performing like Mohiniyattam all over the place. It was exclusively Mohiniyattam only. There was
Yes.
no. But here, after coming here, people think that Mohiniyattam means one or two items in Mohiniyattam, and that's it. So
Mhm.
from that phase to now, it's and everywhere after I came here, festivals started including Mohiniyattam
Ah,
because it was not there at all. People never thought that you could actually do a whole day performance. I told them actually that give me 7 days a week, I will not repeat any item for you. I will dance Mohiniyattam. Oh, really? So it starts from there. It started from there.
right.
So that's what it is. Yeah.
That's what I'm coming to next, actually, ma'am, about you being settling in the US. You went there all of a sudden, like you mentioned, not prepared, and you've gone through a lot in that process, is what I know. And it's highly appreciable because for dancers like me who've chosen a full time career in dance after having studied law like you or any other profession for that matter, it's a gamble that we take with our own lives. Even honestly in arts today, it is a gamble for me at least to choose it as a full-time profession. There are so many things that go into it, so many prospects that you have to look into. That also goes with where do you want to settle down, how do you start your family, and these kind of things are always challenging for young dancers. And you went all of a sudden there and you've gone through a lot of challenges, but you made your way up. And that's absolutely inspiring. And as a performer, I ask this from the point of view of a performer for you. How was it challenging being an NRI dancer, being tagged as an NRI dancer?
Uh, if you look at it, Malavika, like I didn't get married and come here like all young girls. They
Right.
get married and they move out. That was not my thing. I was settled in India. Never ever thought of moving out. I was working in Nalanda. I was a lecturer there. And then certain family circumstances that happened that my husband had to move here to get a job, and not to get a job, to for his job, and we had to follow because it was for a certain number of years, and there was, we had to follow. And when we came here, it is tough because financially you can't, you're not ready for it. And honestly, when I came, I had thought I would not dance again. I was so disappointed. I mean, I didn't share much this with the family. I hope my family's not listening. Uh, I didn't share it. I thought it kept it for myself. Being a woman, I said, let me do this for my son who was 8 or 9 that time. So I said I would never dance and all that. But after I came here, my friends, uh, New Orleans, we moved to New Orleans. They, of course, in the community, it was a very small community. They got to know that there is a dancer here. And within a week, there was a knock at my door with 4 or 5 ladies standing there. Will you help us with Tiruvadra? I was like, oh. I was like, first of all, I've never seen them before. But
Okay.
they had got, yeah, they had got, and I understood with the way I said, please come in. Then if I say no, it is not right, they would think like I'm not trying to help them. So I said, okay, and got into it. And then it started that, will you teach our daughters? And then I said, slowly, I spoke to myself. But that time it put my years back because you can't travel, Kanna, that time. Like, you're here and with the little boy in school and just managing something here. We can't travel back to India, back and forth. So it pulled my years back from performing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that was the first time I've ever danced to a CD. Like I remember practicing in a room and saw the four walls, and I'm like, this is not how practice is supposed to be, where we used to have the musicians and man sitting there, and just from there, boom, to just four walls and a CD. I stopped the first day. I couldn't do it. I stopped the CD and I sat there. I said, then I spoke to myself. I said, I think you'll have to get used to this if you want to, because it was hard to keep dance away. I just wanted to, and especially, yeah. So dance was something that I couldn't keep away from me. So I picked it up again and started practicing. And earlier it used to be like once in 2 years only you could come and go. So it put my years back definitely. And finally, when I found my footing in NOLA, New Orleans, and had great students performing, it was, and we had Hurricane Katrina that came.
Oh, yeah.
Hurricane Katrina came and our house was gone and we had to move and take whatever baggage we had. We had to move and we came to Houston. And now we came to Houston. I'm like, again, God, what are you trying to do to me? You're trusting me, testing me. And then I had to start all over again. And this time I was like, okay, now this is it. I'm not giving up and I'm going to continue. And then I picked up my school, picked up my dance again. And hard work is something which I've always done. There is never been like a step back on it at all. There's never been a moment in time when I've never danced. Even like if you want to say, even like from the time I was carrying my child, I had told my students I'll be back next week. I remember that. When I was on my way to the hospital, I had messaged them saying, the girls, I'll be back next week. So that was the only time I really had a break from dance. And even if I was here, I was practicing everything I was doing, whatever. But we didn't have so much of Wi-Fi. We didn't have so much of WhatsApp. So the music flow wasn't coming for me as much. So then, and then you had to make certain, you had to have certain accounts to make calls to India with your musicians. It didn't have this kind of easy communication. Skype barely worked. So it was not easy when I came to be able to do all that. But one thing, the moment I touched India for my vacations, if I arrived at 4 in the morning, 2 p.m. that afternoon, I was at Nalanda with my ma'am practicing till the last day I left. There was never a day like, I remember Kanak ma'am's son Rahul telling me, Sunanda, you come in, we can set our clocks to 2 p.m. And that too, you arrive at 4 in the morning, you're jet lagged, you're like heavy head. 2 o'clock, I would half sari because I used to be ready for my class. So that is one thing. That's the way I've really worked passionately on my dance, and that's the only time like little that put me back a little. And being an NRI dancer, I don't think I really heard that much. I don't know. You know better because you
Oh,
will be here.
I'm just saying in the term.
Because
Yeah.
yeah,
I just
well,
meant that as a person who would come from abroad. That's all. Not
yeah, yeah.
any.
Okay, okay. So honestly, like when I came to Houston, by the time we had settled down a little, things were looking better. That I could travel a little more, and I had my own classes, and that is what helped me to travel. I
Hmm.
used to save money a little from my pocket to be able to travel up and down, study, choreograph, whatever. And when finally we settled down in Houston, then came my PhD again. That again, classes I used to teach myself. And every time I traveled, I would had all extra classes to be done when I came back. I would do that plus study, plus perform, plus choreograph, plus research work. 4 to 4 every day from Monday to Friday was devoted for my sitting on my table. Even if I'm not doing anything, sit on my table was my thing. Because it doesn't matter, but I wouldn't take up anything else. Even my parents, I would say, don't call me, I'm not going to answer. So that's the way I work. I discipline myself to be able to do that. Otherwise, it'll never my schools, my students, I never compromise because I would say that, well, so what if I'm doing my research work? So what if I'm performing? So what if I'm traveling? They don't need to be suffering because of that. So I would take all extra classes, make sure I give them every opportunity is possible. I work with them, with myself, and studies. I never compromise. I was given a deadline by MAP 3 years. After that, I'm not going to correct, she said. That's the reason I put 4 and 4 to 4 timing for my work. So, and I actually finished it correctly on deadline. I finished and I submitted the whole thing. So if I think about it now, I'm like, oh my God, how did I do that? But
Right.
when you're doing it, honestly, I feel when you're actually going through it through a day, and if you time it everything perfectly, everything is possible. Basically, time management. And another thing that would hurt with me is നമ്മൾ ഈ travel ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ when you go up and down. When I go from here, 4 o'clock, I'm someplace. By 9, 10, I call my musicians. I work on whatever. I sleep from 1 to 4. 4 o'clock, I get up and get into my makeup and perform. So, and then, yeah, and sometimes at night, I go to the airport straight after my program because 4 o'clock is my flight back. Once or twice, I had to do just that because few other programs that were scheduled got cancelled. So
Oh,
suddenly you can't reschedule everything. So I had to do that also, which I have done. Coming back, the jet lag actually hits you because when you went there, you didn't give yourself a break. You
correct.
worked. So when it comes back, everything hits you. It throws you off balance for a week. So you lose time there and then you work again. Because you know what? I've done all this because I love doing it. See,
Correct.
if you're complaining, don't do it. Who's asking you to do it? I thoroughly enjoy. And also another thing is when you perform, the communication you have with your audience gives you a high. Yeah.
Correct.
It
So
gives you a high. Yeah.
missing
So
thing.
with that, you come back with those beautiful memories and you're like, okay, then you're thinking of what to do next. Well, it keeps you going. So it's I would in fact would like to thank my Rasikas because of the energy they have passed on me. Because the energy they pass on me is the energy that I get to do something. So I have a lot of loving people out there who have been absolutely great and supportive. So it's a mutual thing. Yeah. So maybe that gives me the energy to work and I work. And when I work, they see it and they appreciate it. So I think it's mutual. So I always tell my people every time they come backstage, they say, whatever they say, I said, you know what? I just did what I had to do, but you make me feel special. If you were not there, I wouldn't feel special. If you didn't tell me like you enjoyed my performance or you were moved by my performance, I wouldn't know because I just danced and I came back. So you are the ones who are making me feel special. It's not that I feel special. I did what I had to do. That's all. So I'm very grateful to all of them. Yeah.
And huge respect to you for doing what you have done. Like these are few things that many of us didn't know about, the struggles you've gone through. And
Yeah.
passion drives you, and that's what you've done, ma'am. And
Yeah.
I think that makes you stronger.
It, yeah, it's a joy of dancing and sharing that joy with my Rasikas. And we'll do that so long as it continues to be happening the right way. Yeah. Nothing else matters. Like I was dancing in my room and my singer, something music practice was on. And that day was a different mood and it just transported me. And at the end of it, I didn't realize tears were rolling down. Then, I said, this is enough. This is enough. I don't want anybody to clap and blah, blah, blah. It's okay. This is also bliss. This is just communicating with something out there. So this is beautiful.
So true, ma'am. Lovely. Thank you for sharing what you just shared. Really. And this is making me want to dance more, and I'm missing dancing right now.
Please do. It's your time now. Please do.
Thank you. And now we're almost coming to the end of our interview. We've spoken for almost an hour, and I can't believe it's an hour
Seriously?
already, really. But I absolutely enjoyed it. And I have one more question to ask you, which
Sure.
is an important one, because in your generation of Mohiniyattam dancers now, one thing you are doing differently is to promote young dancers. Differently in the
You
sense,
put
I
it
mean,
this way.
everybody is so generous with us. They are all giving us what they have, and you are all examples for us to move forward. But what you've just done, you organized the Kanak Nrityotsav recently. You've done that
Sure.
before also in the past, but you are continuing that even in such a time where everybody is, so
Yeah.
you don't know what is ahead. So in
Yes.
such a time, you've organized the Kanak Nrityotsav. You've
Sure.
taken up the what do you call it, the rally of the Navapallava festival, where paying for the arts and paying dancers is their motto. And I've been lucky to perform for Navapallava as well in the past, and I was
Beautiful.
so happy
Yeah.
to see you organizing that on this level. And
Yes.
also, you mentioned that you do organize the Nartaki festival
Yes.
in the US
Yes.
for years
Yes.
now. So this is
Yes.
not something that you've been doing newly, I understand.
No. No.
Right. So,
Yeah.
ma'am,
Go ahead.
as an organizer, what are the challenges? Because you're a performer yourself, and you
True.
want
True.
performances. That's how you go ahead. But also
True.
side by side, giving stages to your juniors and to the
Yeah.
upcoming artists. What are the
Yes.
challenges you go through as a artist for
You
organizing a?
know, yeah, you can actually call it like my selfish motive. You know what selfish motive? I've seen such beautiful young dancers dance that I feel that everybody around you teaches you something. And now the reason here, one, to do Nartaki, I think it's been 7, 8 years or maybe more that I'm doing Nartaki here in Houston, was the kids born and brought up here were such beautiful dancers. They
Right.
don't get opportunities to dance at all once the Arangetam is done.
True.
Then, boom, it is done. And I've heard so many girls say, but we don't get any opportunities. So, what's the point in continuing and working hard? Makes sense. Another thing is, if they have to dance, they have to go to India to dance. We don't have much festivals here. So,
Correct.
that was one of the reasons to do. Second, I wanted my own students to watch because they only see like the seniors come and perform and they are like, they are all seniors from India. Obviously, they're supposed to be dancing well and they will dance well. So they don't connect that there is something that we can do there. They don't connect that. So what I did was pick up kids from USA, look at teachers who have students around who are doing good, invite them for the festival and tell them, look, they are also just like born and brought up here, brought up like you here. They are doing this, so you can do it. That is one reason. Second, I also like because I moved here, I knew the difficulties at that time, initial time, to be able to go back forth in India is not easy. So I used to invite some 2 or 3 seniors of them to
Right.
perform. So they got an opportunity to perform here as well. We did have once, I think we had Janaki, one time we had Niharika Mohanty. So we had called people like that to perform for us. And Anvesha Das, all these people. So they also get an opportunity to perform here and not looking for the trip to India, like, oh, next trip to
Correct.
India, we'll perform. So, and also the youngsters, so that these girls actually see them. And among those youngsters, I would give one of my kutis to do. So I said, look, you're dancing there. You better keep up to your standards. So everybody's picked up a little and they get a little boost for their practices and the dedication they also have for the art. So they get an opportunity. That was one reason to do Nartaki here.
Right.
Then I started to connect with you, sir, because I said, my ma'am has worked so many number of years on this, and I've seen the work. I've seen like the study that went into creating each item, which is so unique. And then I said, and then I performed so many years, and then now my students are performing. I said, she needs to actually sit back and see what Nalanda Bani she has created, what I have done with it, and what I'm doing with it with the next generation. Does she approve of it? So, like, this is what you wanted the Bani to look like, and this is the Mohiniyattam that you want around now, which there's so much of Mohiniyattam around, and see some beautiful dances. That's why I wanted her to sit and watch this festival herself. That's why I say celebrating the life of Dr. Kanak Rele. Let her sit and enjoy what she has. Like, okay, this is Mohiniyattam has come to this level. And in the future, you will see these kids coming up. So that was the reason for doing Kanak Natyotsav. And also, so many beautiful Mohiniyattam dancers around, and so less festivals, because most of the festivals have all dance styles, and they have like one Mohiniyattam in between, when we have so many young girls who need little opportunities to be able to grow. That was the one reason of bringing them in. So let we have only a Mohiniyattam festival. So people think of doing only Mohiniyattam festivals, because we are one part of many other dance forms. So that was one reason, so that more girls get an opportunity. I wish I could do 2-3 times in a year and show those beautiful dancers, give them a chance, because honestly, they're all trying to work and do a good job. Nobody says, look, I'm going to present myself badly and this is my bad Mohiniyattam, watch me. Nobody's doing that. Everybody is trying to do a good job, working on it. The only thing is, how good, bad, whatever, people need direction. And yeah, it just need direction to be told like what to do, and they're ready to work. So we have like beautiful girls out there.
Correct.
That is another reason for doing Kanak Nritya. So one is for my ma'am to really sit and enjoy and see Mohiniyattam today than what it was when she started. One of my student is always presented to show that this
Yes.
is the next. Yeah,
Right.
Apo, that is one. And definitely all the other Mohinattams. Definitely, I respect all of them for all the. Everybody is doing great work. That is one of them. So this is one thing. And Navapallava. And also, when you were doing Kanak Nritya also, I made a payment. I used to make the payment because I know what went into it for myself. Okay, I know what the process we went through. I said that time also used to make a small payment for them, and now also I do. And Navapallava, obviously, it's a new thing. I said I'm always there for these youngsters, because I know what it is. Like, if you're really good, they need to be seen. They're good because they worked extra hard on it. So if they worked extra hard on it, they need to be rewarded. If they're not worked extra hard on it, then watch these girls who are working on it. You work and your time will also come. So that is my idea of doing the festival. And I really enjoy watching them, because there are so many things you learn from them. I remember like my student doing an Ashtapadi when I was teaching her for the Arangetram. She might be listening also. Then when, Chandana Charchita Nila, she did a beautiful expression that came to her very naturally. It was not part of the choreography that I was teaching. Very naturally. And I told her, I'm taking this. This is so beautiful. I love this. I'm taking it. I still do it. Because there's so many things you learn from everybody around you. So,
Absolutely. Let there be more artists who think like you.
thank you. I
Thank you
can't
so much.
imagine we went so far.
I know, really. And I'm really, really happy that we had this conversation today. I wouldn't have had it any different. Thank you very much. Special,
Malvika, thank you.
and hope we get to meet soon after all of this
Sure.
ends.
Sure. All the best to you, and best wishes for everything in the future for you as well.
Thank you so
And
much.
thank you for doing this, and thank you for Mohiniyattam. Thank you.
Namaste. Namaste, ma'am. Thank you. Bye.